Well, I just came back from the Iron Man movie, so I thought I'd give my thoughts while the movie's fresh in my mind. Now, an obvious comparison between the Iron Man movies with all the other superhero Marvel films that have been released, and I've been watching them on DVD lately, so they're still fresh in my mind, so I can make a comparison between Iron Man and like movies like Daredevil and the X-Men movie, like the third one. All of them I've seen, and also the Spider-Man movie. So, um, let me first start off with the plot of the film. I thought the plot was predictable at times, but it was a pretty good plot. Now, with the Fantastic Four movie, I found the plot rather boring and tedious. Like they spent the Stretch guy, he spent like half the movie in his lab uh, trying to transform them back normally. That was really dull. But I liked like in all Marvel films, the problem is they have to get the regular character from being a normal man or a normal person. Like in Spider-Man, he had to get bitten by the radioactive spider and to become the superhero. But in Iron Man, I found the plot interesting of how he became a superhero. It wasn't just the old boring in Spider-Man where he's just in a library and he gets bitten by a spider. I found it interesting how he got captured by like terrorists in Afghanistan and he was made a prisoner and he tricked them by making his Iron Man armor. Uh, and I liked how at first the armor that he made was just it wasn't anything like the Iron Man armor that you've seen in the comic books and all that. It was just like a rough beta version or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was interesting, and I don't know a lot about the comic books, but the whole time when I was watching the film, I was thinking like, who would be the main bad guy? Like in the Fantastic Four, there was Doctor Doom, and in the Spider-Man movies, there's like the Green Goblin and Doctor Octopus and all these other characters. So I was wondering like I didn't think the Afghanistan, like the terrorists there, I didn't think they were going to be the main bad guy because it just didn't make sense. They need some sort of like leader or something. So the whole time in the movie, I was thinking like I'm used to these like Marvel movies. I was thinking who's going to end up turning their back on him. I the whole time watching the show, his partner, the old guy, I thought like it was a bit suspicious that he would go along with it the whole time and take care of the company while Stark is off living a wonderful lifestyle and not showing up at like award ceremonies and all that. Like it just didn't make sense to me. So I thought there would be a bit of resentment from him towards Stark, and I can't say I was surprised in the least when I saw that he was working with the terrorists. But even though it was predictable, it was a very interesting story, and um, I guess it was surprising how he went from being like a nice guy to like killing the terrorist and then just watching uh, some innocent captures, like people that were captured in Afghanistan. He just watched them get shot to death. He's like, just do your business, and they got shot. So it was pretty. It was pretty surprising how callous and evil he was. I didn't expect him to be that evil at all. Um, I guess overall the plot was one of the better movies. I'd have to say it was up there with the X-Men movie. It wasn't boring at all the whole time. The movie was interesting. Like with the Fantastic Four movie, I was bored at times. It just didn't flow that well. But this movie, the whole plot was exciting. Even before he became Iron Man, like over half the movie, he wasn't really Iron Man. So um, that whole part with the terrorists and all that, I found that very interesting. It wasn't just boring like until he became the superhero. It was good, and even though the big action scene that they built up to wasn't that long, the stuff that led up to it was really interesting. Um, the overall storyline with his love interest, I hated the Spider-Man movies because I just found it totally boring with Peter Parker and Mary Jane. It was just totally boring, and I just if I watched it on DVD, I would just fast forward through that boring stuff. But in this movie, the romance stuff um, wasn't like it didn't take up that much time in the movie, and nothing really happened. So I was totally okay with that. And like all Marvel films, there are like comedy moments in the film, like in the Spider-Man film. I remember when he fell off a building and he's like, "Ow, my back." Um, that was kind of funny, but really wasn't. That was supposed to be their big joke, I guess, and it just didn't. I just didn't really find it funny at all. But in this film, I found it pretty funny. Like his character, Stark's character, was hilarious. How he would just he thought he was like the best person ever, and he'd just go around and order people around and ask them to do crazy stuff. And he's in a vehicle in the middle of a war zone, and he's totally calm. He's talking to people like nothing's going on. But I guess the whole I like how the whole experience of being captured by the terrorists kind of brought him back to earth and humbled him, and he realized what was wrong with his ways. And it's kind of like the story was good because it basically showed about the injustices that are going on in Afghanistan with innocent people being slaughtered, and how U.S. Military companies, they could be doing more to make sure their weapons aren't being like given away to terrorists and being sold under the table. So I think it gave a good message in that regard. And just to wrap this review up, the big fighting scene at the end, um, I liked how they did a false finish when he led him up into the atmosphere. The old guy, when he had the old guy had the second suit that he used. He led him up into the atmosphere, and I'm not sure if the second suit was part of the comics or not because I haven't read the Iron Man comics. But he led him up into the atmosphere, and the bad guy's suit got frozen up, but then he ended up being okay. But then he got blown up in the end. Um, so yeah, the ending was pretty good. I mean, a big explosion. Most movies end that way, but everything got wrapped up nicely, and the ending was a bit abrupt, but it was predictable. Like I knew he wasn't going to read his cards that for his alibi and all that because that's just not the way he rolls. So I'm not surprised that he said that he was Iron Man. But this movie really, like when I'm watching a Marvel film and it's a good movie, I want them to continue on with the movies. I don't want them to just end the movie right away. So I was really happy that they just cut it off after he said that he was Iron Man because that definitely tells me that there are gonna be other movies, Iron Man movies, like at least another movie because they can't just end the movie that way. Nothing was really resolved, like with his love interest and all that. Nothing really happened. So and like he nothing like is resolved with the company or anything. Like the loose ends aren't tied up or anything. The ending was just so abrupt that nothing. Uh, I mean, the bad guy was killed. I think he was killed, but like there's so many other questions left. So I like how they opened the door open, left the door open for a sequel, and I can't wait for the next movie. So yeah, overall, I would say that this movie is tied with like the X-Men films because I really love those movies, and this is probably tied with the X-Men films, my favorite Marvel film of all time, and I can't wait till they release a sequel. So yeah, I definitely get this movie 5 out of 5, and you should definitely see this movie because I'm not surprised that it was #1 at the box office, and it'll be interesting to see if other movies beat it, but definitely a really great movie, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already.